Over the last few years, I've collected quite a few physical items that relate to the Dark Souls games. And I wanted to take a closer look at some of those. And I thought while I was doing that, I might as well share them with you guys. So let's get to it. I will tell you what I'm most excited about first, which is this, because I haven't seen it yet. I've had it for about 6 months and I've just been waiting on the right time to open it. I think this video will be such an occasion, but not yet. It makes sense to me to start at the beginning, at least the beginning for me, with the Dark Souls trilogy. And now the Dark Souls trilogy compendium. I actually didn't know that the box art on these matched up till just now. That's cool. I'm going to look at this first, actually. I haven't had a reason to open it in quite a while. I haven't owned an Xbox One in a long time, so I'm kind of excited about this, to be honest with you. So it's only been 7 years since I bought this. But I definitely have childlike nostalgia just looking at these. Man, I cycled through these games and nothing else for like a full year. That's so cool. Let's look behind him. Have the bonfire on front. This is a still case. Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3 on the back. Very cool. I didn't know there was so much interplay of the figures between this and the trilogy box set. That makes me happy. Okay, I'll guess I'll quickly tell the story of how I came about this. So in 2018, I'd been kind of in a gaming funk, where I guess games had just been not that important to me for a few years. And my wife and I started foster parenting, became parents that year, and I suddenly found myself at home a lot more. And I kind of needed a hobby that allowed me to, stay at home. And so I found myself at GameStop one day, and I actually picked up Dark Souls 3 in one of the generic GameStop covers that they have. And I had a few friends that had suggested the Souls games to me, but I didn't know anything about them other than a few of my friends liked them, and they were apparently difficult. The first week I had it, I think I made a character of like every class that you can make in Dark Souls 3 and beat Udex Gundyr, and I was hooked. So I took that generic box back, picked up this trilogy from GameStop, and the Soulsborne games have pretty much been a staple hobby, entertainment, and point of connection between me and my friends ever since. So this is the compendium to the trilogy, and I will just give you a quick tour of what's in here. This is a fountain pen, but it does not have ink in it. I'm just going to use it to point things out as I go. This is by Future Press. And as far as I am aware, these are still available if you should be interested. So here's the way it's structured. It starts with this story, goes through each of the 3 games, and I'll show you how it does that. Then it goes more game specific and has a map for each area of each game, as well as all of the NPC dialogue for each game. Then there is a massive section that's just all of the equipment and items from every game. And then it ends with enemies and bosses, and the descriptions of the enemies and bosses, and art designs, things like that. So it summarizes major points from the game, but then gives actual lore pieces to back that up. It's very cool. My favorite part of the story section is here, Universal Concepts. And it just touches on some of the big concepts that span through all 3 games. Quick shout out to my friend, you know who you are. You need to complete the Dark Souls 2 list that I gave you, 1-2 years ago? And find this guy right here. Alright. All these are pretty interesting though. I have not read this book like cover to cover or anything, but I find it to be a great, to be honest, here's my thoughts. I hope I can hold on to this until I'm 50 or 60 or, in my older ages. 50's not that far away, so maybe I should back it on up. When I'm 99, I like to think about pulling this book out and looking through it, and it being just this thing that brings back all these memories of the Souls games, because for the last 7 years of my life, these games really have kind of transcended gaming to me. They've become something that's just a more overall hobby, and something that I don't know, enjoy thinking about and reading about. And there's a huge social aspect between my friends and I about these games. Okay, let's move on to the map section, which is probably my favorite part of the book. So it goes through, I have my marker here because you guys will probably see this book again. I'm currently doing a Dark Souls playthrough, kind of a sleepy, slow playthrough. And the last time that I played, I left off right here with Solera Vestora. The small print is probably not going to be able to be seen in this video, so I apologize. But this is the bridge where the wyvern, he sits here, breathes fire down this way. This is the sunlight altar. This is the area up to the undead parish. So this is where I left off last time. I think I'll start using this map to actually either plan or show my routes as I'm playing through, as I continue that series. I'll just show you a couple maps from each game so you can see what they look like. Here's the NPC dialogue from Dark Souls 1. Oh, Laurentius. Goodbye then. Be safe, friend. Don't you dare go hollow. I plan to make a song out of that at some point. Hopefully as the intro to my Dark Souls sleepy playthrough. Alright, on to Dark Souls 2 maps. one thing I love about this book is they show these pictures of just a screenshot of the area. They go through the trouble of showing you exactly where that photo was taken from and the direction that the camera was pointing when it was taken. So this is the dinosaur skeleton in Aldius Keep, and this is the vantage point at which this picture was taken from. And does that on every map. I think that's very cool. Kind of an unnecessary step that I very much appreciate. Again, here's the Emerald Herald and Dragon Airy, and here is the vantage point and the view that this was taken from. Tichigrin has to be one of my favorite NPC names in all the games. Alright, on to Dark Souls 3. Take a look at a couple of these maps. So, like here, High Wall of Lothric. Here's where you spawn in from Firelink. Come down to the bonfire. Then you can go left out to Progression. Here's the dead dragon here. It even shows the tail. You can kind of barely climb up there. We can go out this way to where the first pus of man you can find is. And here's the shortcut elevator. Comes back up. I just find it very satisfying to kind of trace these maps, and when you have the game in your head, just fill in the pieces as you go. This is what I was talking about when I'm an old man. I hope I can still do this. Maybe the games won't exist. Maybe everybody will be living in, a virtual world by then, and I don't know. But I'd like to think that these games and reliving the memories of playing these games over and over and playing with friends will always mean something to me. We'll see. The drag heap. If you haven't seen my video on the reused assets in the drag heap, think about checking it out. Not because it's great, but I do think it's slightly unique. I haven't seen anything exactly like it, and it took me an obscenely long time to make it. Equipment and items. I will just quickly sift through this because, as I said, it's a massive section. The way that it organizes everything is not by game, but by type of equipment. So it starts off here with daggers and shows you every dagger through the trilogy, how to acquire it, which game it's from, and then the lore associated with it. At first, I thought this was not very practical if you were actually going to try to use this as a guide. But now I think it's the right move. I think they did a good job because it is kind of fun to see. I'll just turn. It's kind of fun to just glance through and see something like the Drake sword and the Ivory Straight sword on the same page. Or the Puzzling Stone sword from Dark Souls 2 and Valor Heart from Dark Souls 3. I kind of enjoy just glancing down and being like, oh, Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 3, Dark Souls 2. And then seeing the weapons that are carried across and seeing the different variations, being able to read the lore, one after the other, seeing how they change between games. That's kind of a cool thing too. We have weapons, shields, armor sets, soul items, consumables, miscellaneous, upgrade equipment, key items, gestures, rings. I think the last one's spells. Yes. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Everything from every Souls game, all in one place. How could you not love it? And then it ends with enemies and bosses, which again I think you'll see, because I think I'm going to start using this to find the names of enemies in my Dark Souls 1 playthrough, because sometimes I run up on something and I realize I don't know the official name for this. So I think I'm going to come here and maybe I'll show you guys at the end of every episode, anything that I didn't know the name of. We can look it up. I'm not going to go through too many of these because we have other things with enemy art and designs that we'll get to. So that is the Dark Souls Trilogy Compendium. And that bonfire makes me think of a little bonus item here. I guess this counts as a physical item. This is a gift from my wife. Okay, next item. And it's time for the unboxing. I'm gonna make sure I'm very careful here. Did I get it? I feel like I need to match it with the appropriate counterpart like I did on the Souls trilogy. This, interestingly, is the European version of Bloodborne. Everything on the back is in German, I believe. It's either German or Swedish. I think German. But it works the same. Oh man, I'm excited. I'm almost like procrastinating because I've been excited about checking this out for a while. I ordered this, I think a year ago, pre-ordered it. Almost a year ago. And then I received it in the mail in October of 2024. And it's now March, almost April of 2025. And I've just been waiting on one of two things. Either a friend to be here to enjoy it with me, or a video like this where I decided to share it. really with my friends. Again, I don't know why. I just everything is better when you share it. It seems so. Hopefully, some of you will vicariously get some enjoyment along with me. A hunter must hunt. Let's look at the chapter overview. All right, we have the training manual, hunting grounds, a walkthrough, and area guide in one. This unique chapter takes you through all of Yharnam. The bestiary, a chapter on Chalice Dungeons. Chapter 5 is Arsenal and Attire. And Chapter 6, Hunter's Appendices. Compendium of information on a variety of topics, some of which are likely to contain spoilers. Oh, one more thing that I'm excited about. I have a couple friends who I have to credit for kind of handing Bloodborne down to me because it's their favorite game. Cody and Nate, shout out to you guys. And so this is very, closely knit with my friend connections. And now I have another friend, another one of my best friends who has never played Bloodborne. And tonight, actually, I'm going to his house to eat with he and his wife. I'm taking my family. I'm going to give him my PlayStation and give him this game and give him this book to enjoy as long as he wants to hold on to it. And it's nice being able to pay it forward, kind of, because I credit my friends and I thank them and I'm grateful for them to have shared in the experience with Bloodborne with me and conversated about it over the years. And now I get to hand it to someone else who will hopefully love it, because how could you not? And he'll have this cool book to accompany him along the way. So already it's clear that this compendium, maybe because it's focused on just one game and not three, is going into much greater detail. Here's the leveling system and how many blood echoes are required, all the way up to 543. That's the kind of detail I'm talking about. It also shows the increase per level of vitality, endurance, slow poison resistance per level of endurance. Man, it really goes into kind of insane amount of detail. Discovery increase per level of arcane. Yeah, man, this gets into the nitty gritty. Perhaps I knew this, but forgot it. But Bloodborne does not use the word poise when it's talking about staggering enemies. It considers it super armor. Many foes have a hidden statistic called super armor that prevents them from flinching or stumbling. Very interesting. Okay, I'm interested to see how this section is set up. Welcome to the hunting grounds. This is no standard walkthrough, nor even a typical area guide. It's actually a hybrid chapter that shows you everything there is to know about each area, while also providing a critical route to follow. On these pages, we'll take you through the elements that make the chapter work. Area details, enemies, insight, NPCs, items, bell ringers, map links, landmarks, boss, world change, and then route lines. Route or route? I don't even know which one I say. Apparently I switch up. Both are perfectly fine, I think. Oh, it keeps going. Focal points, combat focus. What does that mean? At times when there are a lot of enemies or a very specific way to tackle a battle, we'll show you the key positions on the cropped map. Usually we do this when focusing on a particularly challenging combat situation so that we can show exact enemy locations or useful defensive positions. This book would have been so fun to make. This is also from Future Press, if I didn't say that already. Starting near the end of this chapter, you'll find the progression guide, which provides an at-a-glance overview of each area's key items and events. A lot of useful data about each area has been included, such as the total amount of blood echoes you'll get there. Wow. The rank of blood gems that drop. This is really crazy. And makes me want to play Bloodborne. Perhaps I will just keep it and not give it to my friend. I'm just kidding. I would not do that. I'm really excited. I'm way more excited about him playing than I am about almost anything else in life right now. Yeah, this is awesome. Has the same kind of map layouts as the Souls trilogy one, but just far more detail. Oh, here's where it shows you that critical route I was talking about. I'm amazed by the work and the detail that was put into this book. It's actually a little bit anxiety-inducing thinking about doing all the research that it would take. Or perhaps there was a existing Bloodborne guide. I don't think so. When I pre-ordered this, I remember reading about it, and I think that this is a fairly unique thing. I'm sure there was some type of strategy guide for Bloodborne, but I don't think anything even close to the detail and completeness of this exists. And this just released, I think, in September of last year, 2024. And I did check before doing this video. I couldn't find this available on the Future Press website. The Dark Souls trilogy was. I did not see that this was. I'm sure they will release more eventually. We're into the Hunter's Nightmare now. Ludwig the Accursed. Ludwig can be an extremely difficult fight, so it's highly recommended that you bring at least one of the NPC summons in this area into the fight with you. No. This is especially true if you've joined the League and can bring both younger Madara's twin and Valtyr with you. Not sure that I knew that. Research Hall has to be one of the coolest areas in any of the Souls games. It's just unmatched as far as the atmosphere there. I love the dichotomy of going through that level the first time and how intense and unnerving it is, and then getting to the boss room. And I feel the need to not spoil anything just in case my friend watches this, but I'm talking about the living failures here. Now, for some reason, that's actually one of my favorite bosses. Not in the, I love fighting them kind of way, even though I think they're kind of fun, but something about that juxtaposition of the research hall and then the living failures is just really nice. It's chef's kiss. Probably my favorite track on the soundtrack as well, the living failures fight, at least one of them. And then of course right after that, you have one of the coolest fights in the entire game, in my opinion. It's like a double whammy of like a really cool experience boss and visual boss, followed up by a mechanically satisfying, difficult boss. Perfect. The research area and the two bosses that follow it. Absolutely amazing. I love this. Not only does it show each enemy, their health, how many echoes they drop, their defenses, but it also shows every item drop that's possible and the chance to drop that item. Interesting. Man-eater boars will chase pungent blood cocktails, even if it leads them into a pitfall. And it actually shows, it's probably too dark to see here, but it shows the end of that tunnel and the pit there. I've never thought to do that or never seen that done. That's really cool. Bloodborne, for some reason, I've just not ever researched as much or watched as much YouTube on as the Souls trilogy. There's probably a lot of things like this that are common knowledge to other Bloodborne lovers out there that I don't know. I love learning stuff like this, though. There's my bookmark. I love that they make these into these books. Very useful. To the NPC section now. And again, just the detail for each NPC. All the equipment, what armor they're wearing, health, blood echoes dropped, possible item drops, defenses, and then lore information and strategy. I happen to see this. Item drops from Murgo, 1/3 of an umbilical cord. Here's something interesting. Earlier I talked about that my version of Bloodborne is the European. As far as I'm aware, there is exactly one difference between this and the American version of this game, and it is the item name of the umbilical cord. Apparently in the American version, it's 1/3 of an umbilical cord, and in this European version, it's just third umbilical cord. There is some absolutely useless information for you. On the living failures, the fight ends when you have slain enough failures to inflict a combined total of 20,646 damage. Very interesting stuff. Very good tips as far as equipment and runes to use in each one. It's going to take me a lifetime to read all of this, but I'm alright with that. The last time I played Bloodborne, I did more Chalice Dungeon stuff. I got into the custom glyphs. After the first time I played Bloodborne, I said, I'll probably never do the Chalice Dungeons again. And then the fourth time I played it, I think, I did more Chalice Dungeon stuff than I did the entire first playthrough. That's how it goes. Okay, I said earlier that thinking about putting this book together was slightly anxiety-inducing, but thinking about putting this section together of the Chalice Dungeons is on an entirely different level of that. Gotta respect it, man. Future Press out here doing God's work. This is so crazy. It shows each weapon stamina use for a normal R1 swing, duration of the entire swing, and then the part during the swing that actually makes contact. So just at a glance, it looks like the Kirkhammer and the Beast Cutter have the largest windows of actually hitting of any of the weapons. I love this. All of my nerd neurons are firing at maximum capacity right now. does it for each attack. Here's R2 attacks. Transformed R2 attacks. Transformation attacks, going from a basic to a transformed state. Oh my god. This is going to be so fun. Like the next time that I'm thinking about playing Bloodborne, for the couple days leading up to actually starting it, I know I'm going to be looking through this book. It's definitely how any future playthroughs of Bloodborne will start for me. Okay, just like the compendium, it looks like there's a large section of just the items from the game. All the armor sets, all the NPCs and dialogue, all of the events that give you insight, and how much insight it gives you. The story. From Software Storytelling Flowchart. There you go. Just take a glance at that. That's all you need to know. Bloodborne is also the only game that I will read all this. I do find it to have the most compelling lore and story out of any of the games by far. Excellent. It has a interview with Miyazaki. I have another book I'll show you coming up that ends with an interview with Miyazaki. I've never read this one. Significant in length as well. It's not just a short interview. This is awesome. I'm really excited about this. Yeah, I think we're about to wrap it up though. Characters and weapons. This is all concept art. Lore index. Full index. Very happy with this purchase and happy to now know what's inside and eventually be able to use it for myself, but first to be able to hand it off to a good friend in case he wants to use it during his first playthrough. So hope you enjoy, my friend. I think I'll switch it up a little bit now.